Happy Friday, everybody. Excited to be back here with you for another product update live stream. My name is Sam Chlebowski, one of the co-founders here at Motion.io. You may have noticed I say it, every week, but we do these webinars every single week. Last week, though, you may have noticed I was missing. I was out of the state, actually, at a conference in Orlando to explain why we didn't do a live stream last week. But excited to be back this week, joining you all, talking about our newest updates, the things we've added to Motion.io. So this is actually going to cover 2 full weeks of our updates. I'm excited to run through everything with you. So to kick things off here, just a friendly reminder, invite you all to jump into the chat, ask your questions. What do you want to know about this update? Or there are other things that would be helpful for me to explain about Motion.io. I have been here, as you can probably assume, since the beginning, building Motion.io for over 3 years now. So virtually any question you have about the platform, I'll be able to answer for you. So, and then just to try out the chat functionality here, I'm going to type in a message here. Hi, everybody. Just put that in. And I welcome you all, regardless of where you're tuning in from, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Go ahead and do the same. And I'll be more than happy to respond to any of your questions. If you want to try it out, I would love to know, where are you joining us from? What are your plans for the weekend? Is it nice where you are? Anything you want to share in the chat, feel free to go ahead and try that out. So the way that I typically kick off these live streams, if you are new, maybe joining just for the first time, is what I really like to do is just go through the Motion.io changelog. And this is a page. Let me just pull this up here quick. Go ahead, share my screen. So this is the page where you can keep up to date with all of the things that we're releasing in Motion.io. We update this every single week when we release. And as it says right at the top of the page, we ship almost every Wednesday. And this week was another one of those weeks where we didn't ship on Wednesday, but we did ship the next morning on Thursday. And this latest update includes some really cool stuff. But like I mentioned, since I wasn't here last week to do our weekly live stream, I'm actually going to scroll down to the week of July 23rd, and let's take a look at the things that we released this past, or the week before this, because this contains some really cool stuff, especially useful if you are somebody who's been using Motion.io for a little while. You might even notice that some of the things that you have wanted to do with our platform were included in this week. These are things that were heavily requested by our users, and we're excited to deploy them last Wednesday. So starting up top here, last week, we added a slew of improvements to the project's dashboard. One of the first things we added was favorites, which allow you to favorite projects. So maybe these are projects that are important, maybe they're at risk, sort of high value things, whatever they may be. We're able to favorite projects now and have them appear at the top of your project's dashboard. We've also introduced a functionality where now from your project's dashboard, if you apply some filters, those filters will be saved. So if you refresh the screen, if you go over to a different tab and come back, one of the things that we had been hearing from folks is that, hey, it's kind of annoying that I have to reapply these filters every time I go to a different project. So you don't have to worry about that now. We save those by default until you log out and log back in the next day. We've also added functionality that allows you to filter by client in the dashboard. And a couple of these are all going to make a little bit more sense. So I'm not going to go too into detail, but they will make more sense once I show you them and I dive into my account. And then we've also added the project owner field that you can use in tasks and portal tabs. One of the reasons why we added this last week is we had quite a few people where they're larger teams. They have a specific person working on a specific project, and they wanted to be able to use that person's name in task and portal pages. So now we have a default field. It operates much like a custom field in Motion.io, but you can plug this into your tasks and portal pages to automatically populate that information. We also have added the ability to auto-assign tasks to a project owner. So if you have a project or template you've set up that has some team tasks in it, those tasks are now automatically assigned to the project owner when a project is created from that template. And like I said, some of this stuff harder to explain than it is to see. It's really easy once I show you. So we will get into this in just a little bit. And now moving up to this past week, what we just released yesterday, these two things are really, really cool. And kudos to my CTO, Zach, as well as our developer, Josh, for making this happen this week, because especially with this week's release, these are just huge improvements to some of the existing areas of Motion.io, things that we've been getting feedback on that really have this amazing level of polish now, very slick, very easy to use, whether you are brand new to the platform or just getting up and running with Motion.io. So first up, we have completely redesigned, overhauled, and improved Motion.io's message center. And this is going to be one of the first things we talk about today. So not only have we made a lot of adjustments to the UI to give it a cleaner layout, but these improvements also include a bunch of powerful new capabilities, making it really easy to find the chats that you need and very quickly. So you can search by client or project, filter by read or unread messages, and this makes it a lot easier to perform bulk actions in chat, respond to things quickly. And the rationale behind focusing on the Motion.io message center is, as we get more and more people onto the platform, what we have noticed is that the message center really becomes your home base. It becomes your central inbox for all of the clients you're working with to keep communication out of your email inbox. And that's one of the things that we've identified that people value so much about Motion.io, is that it allows them to separate the client messages, the client work, from other internal business operations, things that are popping into your email, conversations with team members, anything that might be there, really separating that out so nothing gets missed and you can streamline that communication. So we'll be showing you that first here today. We've also made a big update to the way that global template updates work. So previously with global template updates, you had to, if you wanted to deploy a new portal page to all of your projects previously created from a template, what you had to do, it was a kind of funky workaround where you had to create a new page, delete the old one if you wanted to make changes. Now, you are able to edit portal pages and apply those edits to projects previously created from it. And we'll show you how to do this here in just a little bit. But this is something that I think it goes back a couple of months, and we had to talk for a while about, hey, what's the best way to do this? But we finally made it happen, and really excited to get this live for y'all. So I don't normally cover the bug fixes and improvements here when I talk about our changelog, but one specific one I did want to call attention to this week, just in case you aren't using it or haven't used it yet, is our Zapier tag added trigger. And this is some really useful functionality. So we've had this trigger in Zapier for a little while, but this week we released some improvements to it that I think bring it to a place where it is way more useful maybe than it has been in the past. And I want to show you some ways to use this. The long story short of the way that this trigger works is that when you apply a tag to a specific project or a group of projects, you can use that to kick off Zapier actions. So for example, let's say you have a tag that is called project completed, and you want to send someone a review form. And maybe that is done through some external piece of software. Maybe it's a Google review form, or maybe it's something just outside of Motion.io. What you can do is you could apply a tag and then kick off a Zapier automation that has a series of steps. Maybe it's from your email automation or your marketing automation tool. Maybe it's from your CRM, but kick off a series of actions once a specific tag is added. So I will show you that here later in the live stream. With that, I see we have some more people joining us now. So just as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, please ask away with your questions. I will be responding to everything here live today. Drinking my coffee, all fired up on this Friday. So let's get it going. So what I will go ahead and do now is we're first going to talk about the improvements that we have made to Motion.io's message center. And the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to hop into my own Motion.io account and show you around. So I am here in my account, and the way that you get to the message center is it's over here in the left-hand sidebar. It says messages. Before jumping onto this webinar, set up a bunch of messages that I need to respond to. But because I viewed some of those messages already, I don't have a notification badge over here. But when a message does come in, you will see a notification badge. And actually, to make this easy, let me show you what this looks like here by just sending a message as a client here quick. So I'm going to pop into one of my projects, this Tate's Tater Tots project. And I'm just going to send a message on behalf, impersonate this client, basically send a message on their behalf. So to do that, I'll go in here and I'll just say, hey, I have some new product photos for ads. Where should I upload those? So I'll send this off, and then we will go ahead and pan back, refresh my screen here. And yeah, just like I promised, you see that when a client sends a new message, you'll get a little badge here. It'll tell you how many new messages you have. And with that, let's hop into the message center and talk about the various improvements. So if you'd been using the message center, even just last week, you'll notice that it looks completely different than the way that it does now. Well, maybe not completely different, but you'll notice that there's this section up here specifically has a lot more functionality and new options, cleaner interface for you to take action in here. So what are the new things that you can do with the message center? Well, the first, and the one that I think is probably the most valuable, is we've added this search bar that makes it a lot more flexible to search between projects. So you can search by client name, you can search by a specific project. So let's say, scrolling my list here, I've logged in first thing in the morning. I see I have a couple of things from Sunny Baker for this project called AMA 2026 Conference Planning. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to search Sunny. And great, I can see that now I have these two conversations specifically from Sunny, and I can go ahead and respond to these. And Sunny had asked, hey, Sam, I don't have a brand guide. And this was related to, if you haven't used the message center yet, by the way, you can get context on the task that they're commenting on. If it was a task comment, by clicking this little plus icon here, you could also go directly to the task if you wanted to. But this is something that I find really useful if you are responding to task comments in the message center, because you can get quick context on what your client is talking about. So in this case, Sunny said, I don't have a brand guide. What would be good to send instead? I think it's pretty important for me to know that this was an onboarding task for them to upload their brand assets. But now that I know that, I'm going to go ahead and just close this. And what I can do from Motion.io, so I can actually tag Sunny, and I selected the wrong person. Sorry about that. I can tag Sunny, but then if you didn't know already, you actually have the option here. While you can respond to task comments manually, you do have the option to respond with AI. And the way that you do that is click this little wand right here. And I can generate a quick response for AI with AI. And let's see what it has. So it spit out this comment that says, if you don't have a brand guide, you could send any existing materials or assets that represent your brand. And it just kind of expands here. What I am going to do, though, I really like what the AI generated for me, but I will include just one last line. I'll delete this last line and say, you can upload these directly in this same task. And sweet. Within a couple of seconds, I was able to understand what Sunny was talking about, respond to him quickly, and now, cool. He knows what to do and can complete this task. Oh no, sorry. I realized that my screen wasn't sharing. I must have panned away for a second. I'm sorry about that. Okay, it's cool. So let's just run this one back here really quick. Apologies again for that. Doing these things live, talking, answering questions. Sometimes I forget which screen I was sharing. So what I did here is I searched by Sunny Baker, and in here, what I did was I just started by responding to his first comment, expanded the task to get like some general context of like, hey, what is this about? What are the things that we're doing here? And now that I know that this is a task for the client to upload their brand assets, what I then did is click this button down here to generate a draft comment with AI, edited that, sent it off to the client. And now that I understand, that this is responded to, we're all set here. I am going to go ahead and I'm actually just going to archive this, because I want to move that out of the chat and say, okay, great. I've responded to one of Sunny's things. Don't need to take any further action with that. But now let's say in this other comment that Sunny left on a task, let me open this up and see what this task is about. Oh, cool. I see that this is a task for my client to complete their onboarding form. With that, I see that they have asked, let me just close this really quick. I went to select a package, but not sure what each one includes. Can you provide more details? And that is related to this question on my onboarding form that asks them to select their package, either bronze, silver, or gold. For this comment, I think this is best explained to this client via a call. So what I'm actually going to do here is I am going to set this as unread, just to make a note for myself that I have to respond to this still. But then what I'm going to do is I am going to create a task from this message that Sunny sent. And if you don't know how to do this, this is really useful functionality because it allows you to take the things that your clients say to you, maybe the messages, maybe the requests, and convert them very quickly into tasks that you can assign to other team members. And what I'm going to do for this specific comment is I'm going to create a task for my team member, Sarah Smith, and I'm going to say, reach out to Sunny to schedule time to review packages. And I'll include some additional context for Sarah here. I'll say from Sunny, just include his comment, and then I'll leave a note that says, Sarah, can you please coordinate, spelled coordinate wrong, coordinate a call with Sunny to discuss pricing. He wasn't in the onboarding call. And with that, sweet. This task has now been sent off. So my teammate Sarah can go ahead and respond to that. And now that I know that this has also been taken care of, I'm just going to quickly mark this as read again. And like I did before, I'm going to archive that. So with that, I want to know, what questions do you have about the Message Center so far? With the Message Center, the first thing that we really talked about was this ability to search. So, and I can also just quickly show you again. You can search by specific clients, you can search by specific projects, And then what I did was I created a task by clicking this little icon for my team member to complete. So I have a few additional messages here, and this is a good opportunity to show you a couple of other things that we have adjusted. So previously in the Message Center, all tasks were really centered around projects, but now, all comments and chats you received were centered around projects. But now comments and chats are really much more centered around the specific client who is asking those things. That said, you still have the ability to start a project chat directly from the Message Center. And this is really useful if, say, you have a larger project, maybe you want to ping everybody on that at one time, but they haven't actually reached out to you yet. You do have the option by clicking this project chat button. You can go down here and select a specific project. So, for example, pulling from what I just shared with Sunny, let's say that Sunny, for this project, then went ahead and completed that task. They've submitted their onboarding form. They selected their package. I just want to send a quick message to him and say, hey, how did the call with Sarah go? Are we good to kick off work? And just like that, I can send off that message. And I know that the team at Sunny's Sandos will receive that. The final thing I wanted to show you with our new Message Center improvements is we've also added this filtering option here. And this is really great for quickly filtering between different types of communications you've sent. So up at the top, you have the ability to filter between client messages as well as team messages. You have the ability to look at flagged conversations as well as unread conversations. So, for example, I'm just going to quickly mark a couple of these things. I'm going to mark this as unread. I'm going to set a flag for this. I'll also set a flag for that. And quickly just show you how this works. So I'm filtering by clients, and I want to do all flagged messages. Because something important to point out is that you can apply different options from this filter together. So this is client messages that I have flagged. So this is a really good example of a filter for things like, let's say you have some high priority things that a client has asked about. And these two messages that I have in my account are a good example. Where Jenny had asked what's needed from us to launch the new campaign. Mariah from Moxie Beverages had asked, when is our kickoff date? These are things that maybe I had to go ask another team member before I can respond. But now that I know that, I can go ahead and quickly respond to them. So to Mariah Moxie, I will say August 8th. Now that I know that, and I'll even maybe just add some context here. I just checked with the team. Kickoff date is August 8th. Now that I know that, I'm going to mark this. I'm going to remove that follow-up flag, and I'll just go ahead and archive this. Another thing that's helpful to point out about these filters is you do have the ability to also sort between comments. So these would be comments that clients had left on tasks, as well as chat messages. And these come from the messages area of a client's portal. So filtering between these two types of conversations, I think, is really useful because it gives you some context with like, hey, what is the source of this communication? Because it may change the way that you respond. Maybe you respond sooner to task comments than chat messages or vice versa. And I see that we also have some questions in here. So I'm going to go ahead and answer those here live for us now. So our first question comes from Tim. Hi, Sam. Did you mention there was an AI wand to draft a reply? If so, does it have learning capability or any plans for that? So yes, Tim, there is a option within Motion.io right now that from the message center, you can use our artificial intelligence to draft replies. I actually do not know at the moment if that is enabled to like learn from your conversations. If not, that's a really good idea. I'll have to get in touch with my CTO and get back to you on that. But just to quickly show you all what Tim here from ELA Connect is talking about, I'm just going to re-share my screen. And let me bump this message here away. So the way that you use the AI generation for responses to task comments, you can come in here and just as a note, this is only available in responses to task comments. We don't have this functionality quite yet for messages that were sent through the chat. But the way that you do this here is I'll actually just not tag him right now, but you go down here and there's this little wand icon. And what this is going to do is it's going to automatically generate a response through our AI. So for example, I had responded to this earlier, but Larry asked, I had attached a thumbnail I would like to use for this blog post. Thanks. And the AI generated response that says, thank you for providing the thumbnail for the blog post. We appreciate your input, yada, yada, says a couple of more things. So you will notice that these responses are contextual based off of the different features, functionality, and things that you might be doing within Motion.io. The one thing that I'm not sure about, Tim, is if it is learning from your specific conversations. That is something that I'd have to check with. But I do know that it is plugged into our system to give to make it sort of contextually appropriate to what you might be doing in Motion.io. So it is learning in that sense. I also see we have a question from Georgie. Is it possible to be a strategic advisor to get looped into a project without adding them as a team member? Some of our partners will have limited access to projects. And you're also welcome, Tim. Glad to hear that was helpful. So to answer Georgie's question here, so we did introduce new roles into Motion.io, which I'm not sure if you are familiar with or not, but let me just go ahead and show you that here. And I'll hide this comment. So you do, one thing that's important to note here, Georgie, is that you would have to add your collaborators to your Motion.io account. But we do have options within Motion.io, various roles that you can assign people to without necessarily giving them entire access to your account or to the things that you're doing. So you'll notice that when you go to add a new person, there are 4 different roles that you can choose from: administrator and manager, an employee and contractor. To quickly explain what these different roles do, administrator, probably pretty self-explanatory. They're going to have access to everything in your account. Manager is going to have access to most of the things within your account outside of settings and outside of billing. Employees, we recommend the employee role to use that as really your frontline collaborators. So people who are assigned to the employee role, they are able to do everything in Motion.io, create projects from templates, respond to clients, complete tasks. What they can't do, however, is they're not going to be able to see contracts and agreements that were sent. They'll be able to see the tasks were completed, but they're not going to be able to edit those things as well as templates. They're not going to be able to edit your templates or any of the other key settings within your account. So that's going to include things like billing as well as your branding. And then everything that is kind of an account-wide setting on this page. So hopefully that answers your question, Georgie. But basically the way that you would do this is what I would recommend for your specific use case is adding your partners as the contractor role. So contractor, this is a read-only role which makes sense, which seems like it would make the most sense for the type of person that you're describing. You would have to add a seat in order to give them access to this, but the contractor role allows you to invite people to your Motion.io account, add them as sort of a watcher on a task, as a watcher on a project without giving them full access to play around in that project and do all sorts of things within there. And great, glad to hear that that was helpful for you. And loving the questions, everybody. Keep them coming. I'm going to be here for another 30 minutes. Anything that you want to ask, please do not hesitate. Like I just showed you, I will be responding to everything here live. So now that we've talked a bit about the Message Center, I want to talk next about our enhancements to global template updates in Motion.io. And as I'd mentioned at the start of this stream, this has been a heavily requested piece of functionality. And let's go ahead and show you how it works. So with that, I'm going to jump back into my Motion.io account here. And I'm going to go to my templates library. And you'll see I have a number of different templates. I'm actually just going to clean this up a little bit. Delete that example template I think I had created for a previous live stream. And what you can see in my templates library is I have used these various templates a number of different times. What I'm going to do here is let me just create an example project from my template to show you what this looks like before. So I'm just going to call this global template update example. And this is going to be created exactly from that digital marketing template that you saw in my library. And what's going to happen here is you'll notice that when I look at the various portal pages that the template created, so these are going to be the portal tabs that the client is going to see. Let me quickly also add a client here to show you what this looks like. And actually, don't want to do that one. I'm going to do, here, we'll invite Matthew McConaughey to a project. And I'm going to copy his magic link just to show you what this looks like currently to the client. And this is just the template that we created from scratch. So you'll see that I've invited them to the global template update example project, and they have a couple tabs. The task tab that shows all of their tasks. They have a quick tab that has a video of how to use their client portal. And then they have another tab called Request New Work, which has a purchase form that I created previously that allows clients after a project wraps up, or maybe even when the project is in flight, to select some services, provide details, upload relevant files. And when they submit this, a task is created and assigned to our team. So we have these three tabs here. Let's say, though, that with this how to use your portal tab, I actually didn't want to include this video here. And maybe I just wanted to include some basic instructions. The way that I would have had to update this previously, and maybe I have 10 different projects I've created from this template already. The only option previously that I had to update one of these portal tabs would be to delete this tab from my template and re-add it. Now, what you can do, and I'll go back into my account and away from the client portal. But now what you can do is I can simply go into my template and I'm going to edit this. And I'm going to see my three tabs here. And what I can do is I could add some additional instructions here. So let me find a good example here, just some information I can plug into here to show you how this is going to work. So I'll just paste in this information here into the content section. And then when I click save, what you will see is I will be prompted. It will say, would you like to apply this change to all active projects created from this template? Before I do that, though, I can click review changes. And it says here, 2 projects will be updated. So I know exactly how many projects this edit that I made is going to apply across the board. And what we call projects created from a template are child projects. So 2 of my child projects created from this template are going to be updated. And then I can go ahead and click apply. And sweet. So we are all good to go. And just to confirm that that worked, let me go back into the client portal that we just had pulled up. And I'm going to click refresh. And perfect. You can see right here, this additional information that I added to the content section is now there. And it took me a couple of seconds to update that. This is a much faster way to manage your portal tabs in Motion.io, and really allows you, if you have 100 projects, and let's say you want to change one portal page on 20 of them at a time, this allows you to do that in under a minute. Really easy, really streamlined, and it gives you a second to review to see, how many projects you are applying that change to. So hope you are all finding that useful. And I do see that we have some questions. Jorgi had asked, is there a limit to the number of templates that we can create? Jorgi, no, there is not a limit to the number of templates you can create. Right now, just some important context for everybody watching. The number of projects you can create in Motion.io are unlimited on all plans. Also, the number of templates that you can create. Even if you look here at my template library, you can see just how many templates that I have. I'll just share this with y'all real quick. I have a ton of them. I think what is this? About 20 templates here so far. And we'll create an additional page if you keep creating them. I do recommend, though, whenever possible, I prefer to keep my template library nice and clean by combining templates that I think make sense, or just having specific templates for a specific purpose. Within your templates, there's all different ways that you can make them flexible to small changes within a project. A great way to do that, and I know this isn't, specifically, one of the things that we're talking about as far as our product updates go today, but I think it's just really useful information. One thing that's really useful if you are wanting to maybe combine 2 templates into one, but you need to account for changes within specific projects, what you can do is add automations to import specific tasks and stages to a template so that that template can be flexible to different types of projects. So a great way to do this is adding a trigger for when a form block is submitted. And this is a really quick example here. So in my form on this SEO services template, it asks, are you interested in our SEO services? If the answer is yes, what I could actually do is then import an entire stage related to, and I can actually do multiple stages related to the SEO services that I will be offering. So I'll import stages for onboarding, for analytics and setup, as well as ongoing optimization and management. So then within this one template, I can have it be flexible to get other types of services, other types of tasks in there that I need, but keeping everything condensed into one template. So hope that was helpful. Hope that little sidebar was useful to you. I love this form block trigger in Motion.io in the automations, but it's something I actually don't see used as frequently as I might expect. So I always like to point it out just because it is really useful, where you can have a form that asks, hey, do you want this service or not? If they say yes, import those tasks into your existing project. And this can all be set up at the template level. So it's really dynamic to the products you are creating. Don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. I see we have another question from Gunter Graphics. If you receive a message from a client from their portal, is there any way to then connect that message to a specific project? I have great news. Motion.io does this automatically for you. So let's go ahead and show you. It's pretty cool. And great question, by the way. So I'm going to pop back here into my account. And what you'll see is when I go to the messages tab here, that the messages I've received into my account are actually automatically connected to each specific project. And the reason why this is the chats that clients access, they all operate on a per project basis. So let me go ahead and look for a client that I've invited to multiple projects. Do I have any? Yes, I do have one. I have Tate Smith here. Actually, let me just I'll invite Jenny Jacobs to a second project here. I'll invite her to this one. And I'm just going to show you how this works from the client side because I think it's going to make a lot of sense to you, Gunter Graphics. So add a user. Let me add Mariah Moxie here. Whoops. Sorry. I'll add Jenny Jacobs. And then I'll open a new tab. I'm going to impersonate Jenny Jacobs to show you her portal here quick. So this is Jenny's portal, and you see I've invited her to 2 projects. She's on the Sunny's Sando project. She's also on the Moxie Beverages project. Within Jenny's messages center, each chat operates on a per project basis. And this is how Motion.io is able to connect a specific chat with a specific project. So if Jenny sends a chat in this, and I'll just do it on her behalf. Hey there from, which project are we in? Hey there from Sunny's Sandos. I'll send this off. And then I'll say, hey there from Moxie Beverages. And I'm just doing this with the messages that I'm sending just to make it really clear how this works and how we connect specific chats to specific projects. So now back in my own account, I'll go ahead, refresh. You see I have got 2 messages here. And just as we expected, so Jenny sent 2 different messages. And the first one, she said, hey there from Sunny Sandos. It's connected to that specific project. The one right above it, that's hey there from Moxie Beverages, that's also connected to this project. Another important thing to point out about this is that if you create a task from one of these projects, that task will also be automatically connected to the project the client messaged you from. So if I created a task from this Moxie Beverages project, this would go into that specific project. If I created a task from this message about Sunny's Sandos, the Sunny's Sandos project, this would go into the Sunny's Sandos project. So it's a really easy way to keep things separate. And I would love to know, as a follow-up to you, Gunter Graphics, does that make sense? Is that useful? Do you have any questions about it? If so, please let me know. Really appreciate the question. That's a super good one. And I think really helpful for the folks also on the stream to know about. So, and once again, loving the questions today, y'all. Some really, really good ones, really helpful. Fun for me to answer, helpful for everybody else in the audience who is watching. So we've covered quite a bit here today, but I did just want to go and show you some things about the project's dashboard that we improved in our update last week, because these are really cool. I didn't do a live stream last week, as I had mentioned. So I did want to dive into this and show you a little bit about some of the updates that we have made. And thanks for the clarification, Gunter Graphics. Hopefully that answered the question above. Basically, when you receive a message from a client from their portal, that is automatically going to be connected to the specific project. Every message you receive from a client, every task comment you receive from a client is connected to a specific project within Motion.io, and you can see that here. Let me just pull up my screen again here quick. So you can see that right here, where it says the name of the project right under the task comment or message. So as promised, I did want to show you all some of the improvements we've made to the project's dashboard, because these are some pretty big changes, some pretty powerful things in here. I'm going to delete this test project we created earlier. As a quick tip, if you are ever in your Motion.io account and you decide, hey, I want to totally delete a project, I just don't want to see that anymore. Maybe it was a test project, maybe it was something really old. You can use a bulk action to quickly select your project and then set the status to deleted. And this is going to delete the project entirely. If you think you might want to save a project for later, you can always set the status to archived, which will allow you to go back to that project and even reactivate it at any point. So talking about our improvements to Motion.io's message center, I want to point out a couple of things here. So the first is that what you'll notice is that now within the dashboard, we've added these avatars for clients and owner. Actually, previously we just had owner here, and now we've added clients. And this is really cool because you can see specifically what clients are associated with what projects. Hovering over them, over their avatar, will show you their name. And then what you can do is, let's say I had, to show you a couple of things earlier, added Jenny Jacobs to multiple projects. Let's say I wanted to see all of the projects that Jenny was on. I could type in Jenny, and perfect. Both of those projects are instantly surfaced for me. Previously, with the way that this worked, you would have to search by projects, but now you can also search by clients. Let's say out of these two projects, this digital advertising one was especially important. What I have the option to do is star that project. And when I star it, it'll stick here up in my favorites list. So, and I'm going to clear my search, and I'm going to favorite just a couple more projects here real quick. I'm actually going to do all of my digital advertising projects. I want to star those here. This is a really cool piece of functionality, because let's say that you are a team member working within Motion.io, and there are a couple really important projects that they have going on. Maybe some of the other projects, they are just, kind of chiming in once in a while, but there are a couple projects here that they are leading, and they want to keep those close at hand. You can star those projects to make it really easy to revisit those at any time, quickly go into them, see what's going on, and have this sort of sticky area at the top of your dashboard that makes it really easy to reference that high value, really important work. And I see that Georgie has a question about archiving projects. If you archive a project, can the client still access it, or does it need to be live? And that is actually a great question. I need to double check that. Let me see here quick. Let's show you here in real time, Georgie. Great question. So I'm going to go to my dashboard, and we are going to archive this Moxie Beverages project. And then let's go back into our dashboard here, or sorry, our client portal view. Click refresh. And so I expected, but I thought this was the case, but I did just want to confirm for you, Georgie. So if you do archive a project, the client won't have access to it. And this is a really great example of that, where with Jenny Jacobs, I invited her to two projects. There was this revenue consulting project and then a digital advertising project. I archived that digital marketing project, and you can see here, Jenny doesn't have access to it anymore. So Thanks for asking. And that was something great for me, even personally, to confirm. So cool. So back into our projects dashboard, a couple of more things to cover here that I just wanted to point out here. And that was that we've had for a while now in Motion.io these various filters that you can apply, where you can filter by projects with overdue tasks, your tasks, as well as things like the status of a project. So let's say I wanted to see all archived projects, and you'll notice I have a ton of archived projects in here. Previously, if I went to a new page or I clicked into a project, those filters that I applied that was allowing me to sort by all of my archived projects, those would have gone away. But now you are able to navigate away and come back and have those filters still be applied. So really useful if you use a specific filter a lot and want that stay basically sticky, have it be retained as you are going about your day working in Motion.io. So that, I believe, does it for the improvements we've made to the project dashboard. Some of the most important ones here I just wanted to point out is the ability to favorite projects, to add them to this favorites area at the top, as well as the ability to search by both client name and project name. So I could search by Larry, for example. That pulls up this projects where Larry Smith has been added to. I could pull up, this project that is the AMA conference planning. I could type in Sunny, and it'll pull up that conference planning project that Sunny was added to, as well as this additional project called Sunny's Sandos. So we have about 5 minutes left here. If anybody has any other questions they want answered before we go, please chime in, let me know. I really appreciate all of the great stuff folks are sending in here today. One more thing that I wanted to talk about here, just before we go, is in case you missed it, is the ability to add forms to portal tabs in Motion.io. And you saw some examples of that earlier when I was showing you the enhancements we've made to Motion.io's global template update functionality. But I did just want to show you more specifically what this functionality looks like, kind of the ways that you can use it. So I'm going to hop back here into my account. I'm going to go to my templates library. In my let's go to this brand redesign template. So in this template, I have just a couple of basic tabs here. A welcome tab, a tab for the tasks, as well as the Google Sheet, a tab for a Google Sheet. I'm actually going to delete these two. And you will notice that once again, you have this modal that pops up asking you if you want to apply the changes that you made to all of the child projects created from that template. So I'm going to click yes. And I'm going to do that the same thing here. But what I also want to do now is, let's say for this brand redesign template, I wanted to give clients a way, maybe after a project wraps up, to submit requests for additional work, maybe additional graphics or design assets they might need. What you can do, this was an update we released, I believe 3 weeks ago or so, is I can create a new portal tab. I'm going to call this work request form. Go down here, change the icon. And now I'm going to click this drop down next to form embed. And I'm going to select a form that I've created. And I should have one here already. Where did that form go? I know I have a good one here. Let's just use this form here. We'll just use this onboarding form just to show you. But what you can do is when you add a form to a portal tab, what you're able to do is select a team member. And whenever a client submits this form, Motion.io will automatically create a task assigned to the team member that you select. And you can even have those tasks appear in a specific stage. So I'll just select the campaign launch stage for that, and then I'm going to click Enable Form. So I'll click Save here. Once again, that global template update modal that asks if I want to apply this change to all active projects. I'm going to click Review Changes, apply them. And now let's go ahead, quickly create a project from this template. New project from template, just to show you all. So we'll go ahead and create this. Loading. Going to add and I'm going to click the preview option here. I'm not going to fully impersonate the client for this one. And great, you can see that form I added directly to my portal tab is here for the client to submit. And when they do submit this, it'll automatically create a task for my team member that I assigned to complete. So you can use this for all types of things. You can use it for work requests. You can use it for clients purchasing additional services. You can even use it for technical support and as a way to kind of create like a help desk system within your portal without having something that is bulky that clients don't understand, that requires a ton of configuration. With the ability to embed forms in portal tabs, it takes just a couple seconds to set up and gives you so many different ways to use it. And the way that I suggest using a embedded form versus a form attached to a task is for forms and information that clients might need to submit again and again and again. Those are the types of things that you want to, or those are the type of forms that you want to add to a portal tab, where things that are just one-off, for example, like an onboarding form that clients need to just complete once and never again, those are the type of forms that you'll still want to attach to tasks. So hopefully that is helpful for you all. And Georgie had asked a question about the tabs in, about forms in portal tabs. Do the form submissions identify which project they were submitted from? Yes, Georgie, they do. So in my case, in this project I created, if the client submitted the form, and we'll show you that here, if the client submitted this work request form, this would go automatically into the project. And I can even just show you with a different project here what that looks like when this happens. So I think I have an archived project in here that'll just reactivate. So I'm going to set the status of this project to active, which will bring it back into my dashboard. And I'm going to impersonate the client and fill out the form I've added to the portal tab on their behalf, just because I think it's important for you to see what this looks like in a real world example, so you can start using it. So I have a form in this portal called service requests, and I'm going to go ahead, select a service, and I'll enter some details. We need a new landing page for advertising. Add some files here. Let me just select this image of my face that I sent out for this product update live stream. I'll click upload then. Go ahead and submit this so we can show you what this looks like. So one thing to point out is that when a client submits a form you've added to a portal tab, they'll also have access to see what's going on in the task. They won't have access to everything, but they will be able to see, hey, what did they submit? And then on your back end, what you can see here is that I just submitted this landing page design request as the client. And I am able to access this. I can comment back and forth. Clients can also comment on tasks that they created from by submitting a form. And you can also see I was automatically assigned to this task. It is set to active, and it is here nested within that specific project. And the way that this works is that all of the forms that you embed in your portal tabs, these operate based on the project that they were added to. So you can use that same form across different projects, but it's always going to go, the submission, the task it creates is always going to get sent to that specific project whenever the client submits it in their portal. Gunter Graphics asked another question. Can you reassign the form submission to a different project? So yes, absolutely. So let's say, for example, I have this same form in multiple different projects. You are able to, within your portal tabs and the settings there. So this was the form that I just submitted. And when the task was created, I had it go to me. Let's say for this specific project, I instead wanted it to go to one of my other team members. What I could do is I can just go into my project or template and then select the other team member that I want that task to be created for. So, and I think that this is at the heart of what your question is getting at, is you can use the same form over and over again and just select a different person that the task gets assigned to. So even if I had two different templates that both use the same form, in those templates and in the portal tab settings for those templates, I could assign a different team member to each one. So every time that the project was created and then that form was eventually submitted, it would go to the specific person who owned this, the web design types of projects or the digital advertising types of projects. So hopefully that answers your question. Two really great questions there to end things here today. So with that, everybody, this was a ton of fun. It was great to be back with you here this week. As a reminder, we do these live streams every single week, 10:30 Mountain Time. I'm here. I'm answering questions, showing you off the new stuff in Motion.io. And I'm excited to see you all again next week. As a final reminder, if you need help or assistance with your Motion.io account, send us an email at hello@motion.io. And if you are watching this and haven't yet signed up for Motion.io, we'd love for you to start a free trial, see what we're all about, and see the things that Motion.io can do. To start a free trial, you can go to our website at Motion.io, but I'll also paste a link in the chat where you can start a free trial. No credit card required, no commitments. Try Motion.io out for 14 days for free. I just put a link there for that sign up in the chat. With that, everybody, it has been awesome hanging out with you. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Take care. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.